Happy Monday, everybody. It is a new week, which means it's another week to go full out. I am your host, Steve Solberg. Welcome to Full Out Chats, where I will be interviewing people in the spirit industry about their background, about how they got into what they do today, how they got into this crazy world we call cheerleading, dance, mascot, spirit, whatever you want to call it. We have a great week here. Again, as always, I am excited to get the week started. I'm excited to get people going here. Something that I have learned is, as I get people here and notified, we are, again, super excited to interview Josh McCurdy today. And the only way that we can really do that is to start going full out. And so, as coaches always say, hey, guess what? Let's do it one more time. Let's go full out.
Chats. Do you know what time it is?
U-L-L-O-U-P. We got control, we got the right, we got the vision, you lose the sight. We will never stop. We got the drop, yeah.
What time is it? We're live in 5, 6, 7, 8.
Music was on, which means we are full out. Again, we have a special guest today. I think that you guys are going to find this very interesting and very entertaining. A good friend of mine, Josh McCurdy's joining us, and it looks like Josh is ready. And so let me get Josh to join us here. Josh!
I love the opening. That was great.
Thank you.
I would expect nothing less.
I had to get some sort of music to get people going, I mean, when you're going full out, music's got to be on.
That was great.
Thank you. Well, first of all, thank you again. I know you're usually a very, very, very busy guy traveling right now, but as we chatted about, kind of downtime for a lot of us, and I just thought it'd be a great opportunity. I don't want to just interview coaches. I want to interview people within our industry, not just cheerleading. And I actually have a couple of non-cheer people lined up coming up here in the next few weeks. But I just thought it'd be a really good perspective to get your take on really the spirit industry. I know your obviously strong background is cheerleading, but I know that you're involved overall with varsity and V-Roc and things like that. But I also think the cool thing is I don't think a lot of people know you. I think people just know Josh McCurdy, V-Roc, judge, choreographer, whatever. I don't think people know your background and where you came from and things like that. And I just want to hear your story. And so, I again, thank you so much for taking the time.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I'll start, sure. From Boise, Idaho. A lot of people have no idea.
I remember when I first met you, I'm like, Idaho. I had no idea you were.
And randomly, I was a power tumbler gymnast, so never really did much with cheer. And randomly, I was tumbling outside of the game once, and John White, who was the director of Idaho, Wyoming for UCA at the time, stopped me and basically offered me a job when I was like 17, so don't let anybody else talk to you. And that's kind of how I got into cheerleading. Basically from there, went to Sac State my first year, and then went out to Morehead, Kentucky, which is kind of what's funny too. When I was at Morehead, there was, I think, 7 different people from Idaho randomly in Morehead, Kentucky.
Really?
So that was kind of like my little Idaho fame, was heading out to Morehead. So yeah. Oh yeah, there you go.
There you go. I had no idea you went to Sac State.
Blonde bleach spikes.
So you went to Sac State your freshman year then?
Yeah.
I didn't know that. Okay. So
Yep.
I guess before obviously, when you went to Sac State, kind of what was that experience like your freshman year? And I guess what convinced you, or how did you even find out about like Morehead and moving out to Kentucky?
So when I was at Sac State, it was, I did UCA my first year out of high school, which was probably the best thing I could have ever done. It basically got me to go to Sacramento State because half the cheer team from California all cheered at Sac State at the time. And the regional manager was Louie Harris, and she worked for UCA. So we had this whole group who all went to Sac State. So we had it was awesome. We had the college experience. Sacramento's more of a commuter school, so it's not like a type of game day or college life. But we did have an awesome time there, and then from there is where I just got to kind of know what cheerleading was. Got to know about Morehead, and then randomly a few of us picked up and left and went out there as there were some coaching changes going on, and it was nothing bad. It was just we all shipped up and went out to Kentucky.
Mm-hmm.
A change.
I was about to say, so people who have never been to Morehead, I mean, Morehead is it's a small town. It's a small town. Yeah. It's literally Morehead thrives on that university. I mean, it's absolutely built around that university. So, and you're from the Boise area, which Boise's beautiful, and it's a pretty big town, and same as Sacramento. You're in California. It's a prettake big town. Yeah. So, kind of, how was the, I guess, culture shock, or I guess when you first went to Morehead, I guess kind of what was your take back from there?
That's a funny question, because it is a culture shock. I think is a culture shock itself. The initial shock was just driving into this little teeny tiny city that has 2 stoplights and just not a lot. But when you step inside what you're there for, which is cheerleading, then it kind of completely changes to this big time atmosphere where there are people from all over the whole United States in the same room as you, and all have like different backgrounds, but all kind of the same mentality. Mm-hmm. So you get over the culture shock of the town because you're with people from all over the whole country. So I don't know, you begin to kind of love the whole part of being in a small town, because you just get this whole camaraderie as a team, and you kind of appreciate small town living, not to live for a permanent lifestyle, but just to live in a small town. It was fun. It was unique, and you kind of learn a lot. Mm-hmm. Had a lot to do.
So you get to Morehead. Now, freshman year, did you compete at Sac State? Did you guys compete that year? Or?
Yeah, we competed. That was like, I guess maybe their second year competing, first or second year. I forget. I think we got 4th place, which was huge. We were very excited.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so you did have MAT experience. You competed. So then at your first year at Morehead, did you compete?
Mm-hmm. I did.
Okay. Now, I'll pull this up. I mean, kind of bad picture. Sorry, but anyways, you phenomenal tumbler. Like you said, you had a power tumbling background. It's definitely what you were known for. So when you got to Morehead, obviously your tumbling was used, but I mean, was stunting something that you knew you had to develop when you were there?
Yeah, I wanted to develop stunting more than I wanted to tumble. Like, tumbling came easy, and stunting was the hard part. So, I mean, right at the first trial, it's like you've trying stunts you've really never done before as a tumbler. But even there, being at Morehead too, like, it pushed me as a tumbler, because I was the best tumbler, but I wanted to make kids around me better and like push myself to be better. But I worked on stunting way more than I worked on tumbling, just because I wanted to stunt. And I did end up stunting twice in the 4 years I competed there. Nothing crazy at all, but yeah, I wanted to stunt more than I wanted to tumble, for sure.
I remember my first year going to camp with Wisconsin, and you threw that's the kick full, I remember. And I mean, that's back, I mean, not to date us, but we're getting old, Josh. Like,
yeah, old.
02, I think it was 02 college camp. And I remember seeing this guy throw this kick full, and I was like, what the heck is going on here? Like, I had never seen it live, especially on a dead floor. And maybe you threw it on the wood floor, to be honest. I have no idea. I can't remember. But I just remember, holy cow, it was phenomenal. And I know, like, your power tumbling background definitely obviously helped with that. How was the and I get this question asked a lot, so I guess what's your take on, like, transitioning from a spring floor to dead floor tumbling?
For me, it's always a matter of it's the adrenaline. If there was an adrenaline, it was a performance, and there was people in there watching, to me, it felt like a spring floor. Now, it hurt the bones a little differently afterwards, but I thrive off of attention. Don't we all?
Yeah.
But in that sense, when you're competing elements, or when you're stunting or tumbling, like, you do better in front of a crowd of people. So for me, that part of it was I never minded, and I never noticed a major difference. I mean, obvious things, but with controlling your body awareness, it is similar. And it's a head game. I never let it get in my head. But now practices when there's nobody watching and it's just us and we're dead tired doing tumbling skills, a little bit harder to tumble.
Yeah.
So there's a difference in practice and performing on how they feel. But
I'm getting a lot of comments right now about your talk about transitioning to dead floor, because it's always the biggest challenge for me as a college coach, for sure. And I'm sure for you, when you do a lot of choreography and stuff with high school kids that do all-stars, I always thought I found it entertaining, a kid that can throw a beautiful double on the spring floor, but then can't throw a full dead floor because they're scared, or they just don't think they can do it, which blows my mind.
Right.
So you're at Morehead now. Did you cheer 4 years at Morehead?
Yeah, I cheered 4 years at Morehead. So I cheered 2 years for Myron Doan, and then 2 years for Tony. And then I did my master's at Morehead. So for my 2 years, my master's, I stayed and was Tony's assistant. I did the grad assistant for 2 years and then moved on from there.
So for 2 years, you were still at Morehead, but didn't cheer. You were
Yep. Just the assistant with Tony. Yeah.
And talk about that experience. I mean, you're obviously transitioning from sharing with these people into becoming their coach, coach, and which is always usually a difficult position to be in, because you're friends with these people and you've been with these people for years, and now they need to respect and look at you as an authority figure. So kind of talk about that experience of transitioning from athlete to coach.
Yeah, I think that's one of the hardest things. And one thing that's very different about Morehead is for a lot of the years, it's a very self-coached program, meaning the athletes all have this super talent, and a coach is there to really guide them and direct them in the right frame. So for me, stepping into a position where I'm going to these kids, like, I'm not there to tell them how to do stunts better and to fix their technique. Like, they can do most of that. And then they have Tony Nash there at that time who can also do that. So I just stayed back and filled a role of, you gotta find your position. You can't go in there and try to fill and do the same duties as the head coach does. They don't want that. So you kind of learn and sit back and learn from that coach and learn how to be a coach and what's going to work for you with athletes. And especially at that time, you don't have the authority to scream and yell and get upset at different athletes when you're 1 year removed. That's the coach's job. But 10 years down the road, I can go back there and do that. So it was more of a learning experience on how I want to be as a coach. And you learn techniques that you like from this person and some that you don't think you'll use or you could be as effective as. So I used it as a major learning tool for all sorts of things: how to coach, how to spot, how to talk stunts, how to teach them, just all sorts of things. So I'm a sponge in an assistant role. Learn as much as you can.
Especially under, in my opinion, arguably one of the best coaches in the country, in Tony Nash. And the transition. You were there. Really for I would feel a pretty interesting transition. Going from Myron to Tony. Myron obviously really created the legacy of what is Morehead today. And Tony carried that on into what it is, and then obviously with the transitions that Morehead's gone through. Kind of talk about that. How was the transition going from Myron to Tony, and then coaching under Tony?
The transition was great. I'm not sure it was ideal for Tony right away because he was kind of just thrown into the wolves. And at that point, you talk about Morehead's culture as a group of athletes who are all very capable of coaching themselves and are lots of egos in a good way. And it's more of like, how do you wrangle all that? And Myron was very good about that because it was no nonsense. And so Myron was going to come and kind of help Tony transition and really just set Tony out to us. But it was fantastic because Tony listened to all the seniors and the leadership, and he took the things that we've done in very big traditional at Morehead, and he kept them, and then he just would work on ways to make those better, and he brought in his own methods. And so it was kind of a collaboration of, the first year was, again, learning what Morehead is and then learning the goods and the bads and the uglies and taking it and making it better from there. So yeah, I thought it was as smooth as could be for somebody when Tony first came in.
Mm-hmm.
And then moving to the coaching role with him, it was great. We were good friends. We became friends because I was kind of the captain for the 2 years he was there.
Mm-hmm.
And so we developed a relationship of first helping him learn what this program is, but then just from then learning on and just learning so much from Tony just because he's just phenomenal to learn from. So.
For those of us joining us, again, welcome to Full Out Chats. I'm here with Josh McCurdy, talking about his background, and we've been talking about his days at Morehead State. And again, we'll have a Q&A here a little later. So at the bottom of the screen here, you're going to see a question mark that looks like a deck of cards. Feel free to tap on that, type in any questions that you may have for Josh, and we will get to those here in a bit. So Josh, something that I talked with Jomo last week in Kentucky is just about at UK, it's clear they have a very strong connection to their alumni. And I think that it's the same at Morehead. Alumni thoroughly care about the program. They absolutely care about how it's doing, the culture, how it's going, and things like that. Kind of talk about coming from a program like that where it's clear the alumni still have a voice, and the alumni really do generally care about the program so much.
Yeah, we're head coaches' nightmares probably for those who come. No, we're just the program it was always built on people who weren't from Kentucky for the most part. I mean, we always had some Kentucky cheerleaders who were from the state, but a lot of us came in from all over, and so this family was created there, and so you were just forced to have it's just different than most places. Again, I know most places do have kids come from all over, but you create this little tiny family in this little town that you are stuck with, and that's who you hang out with there. I shouldn't say stuck with as it's a bad thing. It was great, but it's just a culture that is I don't think it could ever change there because there's not a lot to do in Morehead, Kentucky.
Mm-hmm.
So you just become so close, and then you meet alumni, they come back and visit homecoming, they come watch your practices, and you see videos of them all, and it's just, again, people who take a chance on this little small town, and you fall in love with it, and everybody loves Morehead the same.
Mm-hmm.
We're all it's just something that's created there. I don't know how to explain it,
Mm-hmm.
other than it's just a small town, you're stuck with your family. Some days you love each other, some days you hate each other. You go through a lot. In your years of cheering there, and it's cheer is a lot of the stress part, but it's just small town dynamics. It's everyone knows everything, so it's an interesting, very very fun culture. And it's the alumni again. I say we're a coach's nightmare because we're always expecting. It's always expecting the best, and so everybody has their opinion of what they think of when they look like at games, or it's just funny because you hear, and I know people said the same thing when we cheered, and you just expect so much, so you're going to pick everything, and then some let the coaches know, and it's in our alumni groups, and it's silly, funny alumni stuff, but very very dedicated to the program.
But while at Morehead, real quick, what did you study? What besides cheerleading? what was your undergrad and your master's?
Yeah.
What were you getting your master's in?
I got my undergrad in health promotion and with a minor in speech communications, and then I got my master's in teaching.
Oh wow! Okay.
Yeah. So I actually student taught for a year at the high school in Morehead.
Oh, okay.
Which made me realize I don't ever want to teach school. Yeah.
So, I mean, that's my question is, the transition into, kind of this, for me, and I think a lot of us is, we do this cheerleading thing. It's fun. We love it. We meet some good friends, but never in a million years do we actually think we could make a living, doing this. And so I guess, really when you went to Morehead and started getting your master's degree, did you at the time think, man, I think I might make cheerleading a living? Or even then, did you like, no, I'll do my cheer thing and get a good education, and then I'm going to move on and teach? Or
yeah, no, I think I always knew I would be involved in cheerleading in some capacity. Like, I think I would have ended up, I would have loved to have coached a college program at one point. I love the atmosphere of game days, and I just enjoy that part of life, which is very weird right now when there's no sports. I always joke. I said, "Is this what life is like for people who don't like sports?" Like,
Yeah.
it is very interesting. It's hard, but I always thought I would do something with cheerleading. I didn't know what capacity, and then in Morehead, luckily, I got involved with coaching at Greenup County with Candyberry, and then I coached at Pikeville under Lisa Wheeler, and just was so lucky to learn under these great coaches. And I knew that coaching and like working with athletes is something that I like to work with people, be around people. So I knew I would do something of the sort. And kind of with all things in the cheer industry, it's things. There's not all these jobs out there that are accessible. They're few and far between, and it's all about timing. I mean, coaching jobs, once someone's in there, the schools, and they've built something, they don't want to get rid of them really, unless they mess up. But even then, it's hard to get in, so it's all timing. And where I'm now with varsity, it's all things have kind of worked their way through and just slipped in here when someone left and moved here, and it's kind of life. Things just, it's timing. Yeah.
I agree with that. I mean, just, people ask me all the time, how did I get the Purdue job? And I just said, I applied. I mean, literally, I had no inside connections. I had no connection to Purdue. I just applied and went through the actual regular process, and I got it, just through the interview process. It was just crazy, and I'm sure people ask you all the time, I mean, like, how did you get into working for varsity? And I'm sure it was just an opportunity popped up and you took advantage of it,
Absolutely, yeah. I mean, Craig Monty, who was a longtime choreographer, he still's a choreographer, but he's the one who kind of drugged me into the choreography world. And I'd kind of been around Hank Light with Pikeville and Greenup County, so kind of like learned, and that's kind of how I got started with choreography really. And then moved to Lexington and lived after Morehead, and then the curriculum job for UCA came open, so I moved to Memphis, and so things just kind of always fell into place. So
I mean, that's a great leadway into the next chapter of your life. And again, for those people joining, thank you for joining us here on Full Out Chats here with Josh McCurdy. Again, if you have any questions for Josh to answer later at the bottom, just click on the little question mark at the bottom and type in a question, and we might get to it later. So, okay, so you graduate from Morehead with your undergrad degree. You're done with your 6 years at Morehead, and then you get into, what is the next chapter? So did you move to Memphis right away, or?
No, so I moved to Lexington. I lived in Lexington for 2 years, and that's when I started kind of doing a little bit of UCA work, like a little part-time work, and then was doing choreography. And then the curriculum job for UCA came open. So after I had just bought a house in Lexington, and literally 9 months later picked up and moved to Memphis.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah, that was 11 years ago that I moved there.
Wow. Okay. So are you still doing curriculum? You're still doing curriculum stuff for UCA, right?
Yeah, it's with everything, our jobs evolve, and I mostly focus on the material that's taught at all the summer camps. And then we have a whole UCA operations team where we'll handle different parts of what goes on at our summer camps. So I kind of handle all the material, music, the performance-based side of summer camp.
But I think what a lot of people know you for is, I think, judging. I think that a lot of people know you from judging, whether that's good, bad, or ugly.
Yeah.
And but also the same, I think the big thing now is VROC. And I know Craig Monty is another big name, and I know one of the, I want to say founders, or definitely one of the original VROC people from back in the day. And then, so how was that transition going from really just curriculum, maybe a little bit of choreography, to really making choreography kind of your living?
Yeah, it was, it's scary initially at first, because when I first jumped into it, I was not comfortable doing all-star routines, and VROC was kind of all one. I don't have any kind of all-star background. I never did all-stars. So it was a lot of anxiety my first year doing it, because I have to do some all-star routines and I was not comfortable. And I don't like to do things that I'm not 100%, I don't want to say comfortable, but in full knowledge of what I'm doing. So I'd walk into some of these and have a little bit of anxiety, not knowing. But with all things, the more you do it, just like choreography, the more you do, the better you get at it and the more comfortable you get. So by year 2 or 3 of doing routines all summer, it was kind of the path I knew, like, this was what I want to do. Like, it's enough coaching, it's enough travel, it's enough of the things I like of cheerleading that I don't, but not coaching my own team and having to deal with parents. And so kind of like fills the exact, what I like about cheerleading. So.
So I mean, I think if people ever follow your personal accounts, you travel a ton. So you're traveling everywhere. I mean, talk about that. I'm sure that it went from very, I mean, kind of, you moved to Memphis and you're probably there a lot to you're rarely there. And so kind of talk about the transition from really working in the office every day to pretty much always on the road.
Yeah, I mean, I still traveled all summer when I first moved there. Just with UCA, it's a May to September job. But during the UCA part, once September hit, I'd be home most of the year and just hit up competition. So I wasn't traveling. And then D-Roc, you know, the more routines you get, your customers come back every year, then you start adding more customers who want you. And so it becomes this, just this whole, it's like not an obsession per se, but it's just you enjoy getting all these teams who want you to come do their routines, and it just becomes something you, like, all of a sudden I went from doing 10 routines one summer to doing 32.
Wow.
And you're like, oh, and then, I mean, it's a lot of routines to do. I don't do it nearly like that anymore. It's a lot of travel, and it's a lot of, it's very tiring on the brain. So it was a very big change going from that and never being home at all and having a dog at the time. That makes it very hard to travel a lot. And so, but then after about 2 years all the travel, then it became a normal way of life. And then now I'm doing better than I thought I would do being quarantined.
Yes.
Doing much better than I thought it would be. Because this is the first time in 11 years that I've been in Memphis longer than 7 days in a row.
Are you serious?
Yeah, in 11 years I've been here.
Wow.
I was still traveling quite a bit when I first moved here, but I mean, now I was traveling last year. I probably traveled about 265 days of the year last year. So this is a big change right now. But I'm enjoying it.
You've been doing choreography now, obviously, and you were just talking about how many you've done. I guess just for some advice for some coaches, I mean, you're hired, you go to a school, gym, whatever, you walk in. I mean, what are, I guess, a couple of tips or hints, or what's the first couple things maybe that you'll notice that you're like, man, this is gonna be a successful week, and I can already tell, or oh boy, okay, this team's gonna need a little work, you know. I guess what are a couple of things that you could give as tips or hints in terms of, like, you know, really creating that first impression, or knowing, like, man, this program is gonna be successful.
Yeah, the very first thing is, if the team is already in there and they're already warmed up and practicing, that's the first thing I notice. Or are we all pulling up in the parking lot at the same time, and I'm actually probably there earlier than everybody else? That's my first impression. The second impression is going to be how they all look. Are they in matching outfits from head to toe? Are they all wearing the same bow? Are they all wearing the same top that matches the bottoms, that matches their shoes? Because again, when you're doing choreography, it's like a puzzle. You want all the pieces to all look the same in order to put it all together. So if you've got people mismatched and just people not all looking the same, it definitely just throws your brain off from the very beginning. So they all need to already be there, and they need to have stunt groups, and they need to be ready for you to start when you get there. And all looking the same is it just helps, because our brains work very differently than a lot of people's, and we need it to all look all the same, because the ultimate goal in a cheer routine is to make everybody look the same. So, and then just, you know, we're at choreography is not a skills camp. And so our job is not there to train your kids on how to work on stunts. Like, we're going to teach you skills for your routine, but we don't have a lot of time for that because we got to get you a full product.
Mm-hmm.
So you got to have the basics all set.
Mm-hmm.
We prefer you go to a summer camp, a skills camp. Like, choreography cannot be the first time your team is all together.
Yeah.
Because it's just way too much work for us. And usually camp, you get all the tiredness out, you get the drama out of the way,
Yeah.
and then you move forward with choreography and for the season. Because we're making some tough decisions on where kids are going in routines.
Yep.
And again, for us, we don't care if the front center girl is a senior or a freshman or whatever. It's the girl I need to be there is the girl I need to be there because of how the routine all fits together.
Mm-hmm.
So it's all about organization and just having the whole look when you get there.
I think, yeah, I mean, I agree. I think those are some great tips. And the funny thing is, like, not even skill related. It's just that first impression. It's just that, are you a team? You know, I mean, is there structure from the top to bottom? And I think that's some great advice. Again, welcome to Full Out Chats here with Josh McCurdy. So when you transitioned then obviously into kind of ICU and USA Cheer and, you know, helping grow the international brand, which now has absolutely blown up here, and now transitioning into the USA Cheer coaching staff, specifically helping out with the junior all-girl and co-ed teams. And so talk about the creation of the junior division, because I know that was part of the steps of trying to become an Olympic sport maybe one day, or getting recognized into that. So talk about the creation of the junior divisions and then your transition into helping coach those teams.
Yeah, so we've had a senior championship, I guess, for going on to, I think, 12 years now, or 12 years plus. But when we got Olympic clearance to be Olympic status, not to be in the Olympics, but when we got approval to be Olympic status, that means that you have to host a junior championship and a senior championship to even have to be accepted as an Olympic sport. So for the very first year of it, it was a little bit of crunch time trying to figure out, we really need a team to represent the USA, and how can we do this? And the first year we just kind of went to our high school nationals and watched videos and saw teams that, you know, we felt that had won the nationals and had successful in the past, and that we think could probably pull this off. But the hard part was it's completely funded on themselves. So they just left high school nationals spending a lot of money to have to do this again. So it was creative trying to get it our first year. It worked out. We found 2 programs that could do it. They ended up doing fantastic. Both won gold. And then with time, we developed a whole process for it. And the IOC has a process that you have to have for anything that you compete with. There's processes. So now there's a full process there's an application process that we go through. We go through interviews. There's videos that they have to submit. We have found that we tried doing single teams our first year, and it's just too hard. The rest of the world is using all-star teams they compete with, and the team who wins their nation's championship usually represents themselves at ICU. So we were trying to take a team that didn't even have kids of the right age, so we had to find kids in the area or like on the JV teams to fill them, and it became a bit of a hassle. Not a hassle, just a lot of work. And we knew these teams across the country are getting better and better each year, so we decided to move to more of an area process. We recommend teams get an area of schools and of talent of all-star high school kids and submit. And we did that our first year in Louisiana, and then in the Louisville area for the all-girl co-ed was in Louisiana. And we found that process works a lot better. We got a lot more talent. Just to fill the short time that you have to do these routines. We only have 2 months to get the whole thing ready to compete for world championships. So fielding with multiple teams was a huge hit for us. And this year again was our third year doing it. We had a huge turnout of teams. The talent's getting so much better. It was a very hard process to choose from. We have a Chicago area for our junior co-ed, and then the Louisville area was selected again for our junior all-girl team. We're hoping something still happens. We don't know.
Mhm.
Everything's postponed right now, as everything in the world is. So I hope one day the world gets to see these kids. They were an amazing group. Both our Chicago group and our Louisville group were just out of this world talented. And it's a bummer the world won't get to see them this year, but stay tuned. Hopefully I have more updates for that. So
Yeah, for a lot of people that don't follow ICU, but first of all, I go to Worlds every year for recruiting and stuff like that. But I mean, and don't get me wrong, Worlds is a great experience and it's crazy, but my favorite 3 days are always ICU. I love it. It's just unbelievable. You know, I mean, the crowd interaction, the cheers. I mean, some of those, I mean, I've told people, you know, I never thought I'd hear a crowd be louder than, you know, yelling CATS, cats for UK, but holy cow, you know,
Canada.
So let's go USA, you know, red, white, blue, and then also CANADA, Canada. Like, I mean, it is crazy, the crowd interaction at ICU. I mean, talk real quick just about the ICU experience and what it means to the coaches and more specifically the athletes. I'm sure for the athletes, it's got to be one of the best experiences they've ever had.
It really is. I think it is one of the top experiences that I've ever even had with cheerleading. It just is, for the kids to know, like, honestly, it starts when you start doing choreography. Then we get our music, and the music is all very custom, and it's just from that moment you just realize you're representing your country and how big this experience really is, and it's something you can't really explain unless you've done it. It just is this prideful feeling that you get, and then you start getting your apparel in, and then you have our uniform tryout, or you know, you're trying your uniforms, and it's just such a neat experience. And then when you get to Florida, you stay at the hotel with all the teams together. So you have your senior teams and your junior teams. We all practice together. We do a big showcase together, and it's just an awesome experience. And that's just with the USA part. Then you go into Disney, and then we have our opening ceremonies, and the kids have a cultural exchange.
Yeah. Yep.
It just shows, like, and for the kids to be the best of the best in the world, and they're celebrities for a little while. It's just crazy, and it's just to watch those kids is like the best part. They're on cloud nine walking around, and they get to meet kids from all over the world, and the performing part of it is just huge, because you've got our kids talk a lot about our premier teams come and watch each of the teams, and they're sitting on the floor just screaming for these kids. And so for our junior kids, all those senior premier teams, those are celebrities to them. They're these kids that they like know of and they idolize, and they're on the floor screaming for them because we're all the same team. So it is just a unreal experience. It's awesome.
Yeah, I had an all-girl group make the USA Premier Team a couple years ago, and they talked about, I mean, just what you talk, like the little thing people don't really even know about is the cultural exchange and ceremonies, and just the whole experience overall to them, I know was breathtaking and life changing for them, and something they'll never forget. And I can just imagine for those junior age, like, I mean, I couldn't even imagine that experience. So
it is just, and just to watch the kids, I don't know. It's like, I guess I don't have children of my own, but for parents watching their kids open Christmas presents, to me, that's what this was. These kids are just, when you walk through the globe at the opening ceremonies, and you see just tons of people screaming and clapping, and there's every country that you can think of there. And it is, I remember my first year of it. It's just an awesome experience. You just feel very prideful about your country more so than ever.
So Josh, are you ready to answer some questions from the audience?
Sure.
All right. So what I think what we're going to do is answer some questions here. Let's see here. Oh, right away. Another really good one. Here we go. Tips for game day fight song material at the high school level. So I'm guessing maybe they want some tips on game day routine in regards to at the high school level, because the game day routine from high school to college is different. And so just any tips you have about a high school team putting together their fight song?
High school, it's a tough one because it's probably our biggest divisions now. But what I always say is, you have to be memorable. What is your team doing that's going to make you stand out from other teams? Is it maybe your band chant that you select? One thing to always remember: the band chant. The point of it is to have crowd interaction. The point of it is to have people yell back something with you. So that always needs to be in there. I see a lot of teams do that. And they just do a dance. It's called band chant, so you must do a chant. Other things, the majority of that score sheet is based on execution. So it's all on how sharp you do everything. There's no difficulty on the score sheet anywhere. There are elements of difficulty if you think about it. We're talking ripples and formation changes and level changes. Like those are difficulty for parts of the fight song and your band chant as well. So you have to have those components. But I just think the biggest thing is always going to be what makes you stand out. Is that you're super sharp, and that makes you stand out more than most teams. That'll get you far. But then creative material is always going to help a little bit. So that's my best advice I can give you.
Good advice. Very good. We have some audio difficulties, so let's do this one more time real quick.
Oh, yeah.
There we go. That's our sound effect for Q&A. Special thanks to cheeranddancemusic.com for putting that together and doing our intro song also. Again, cheeranddancemusic.com. So next question is, it's a great question. Here we go. Can you go to a V-Roc clean sweep event without having used V-Roc choreography?
Yes, you can. We just have different pricing. We have V-Roc loyalty pricing, which is just a discount for our customers who do stuff with us throughout the year. But yep, anybody's welcome at a clean sweep.
Oh, very good. Maybe a subject, if you have an answer or not, but how do you see the COVID-19 affecting summer camps? I'm sure that's been a hot topic amongst the varsity. Right. Yeah. I've already, as you probably know, I help varsity UCA with their summer camps here at Purdue, and we're already talking about what we're going to do there. Yeah. I mean, do you have anything that you can talk about in terms of summer camps?
Shoot, right now we're just at the liberty of what the CDC is saying and what universities are doing. So we have our full curriculum. We've got our staff trainings, like everything as far as we're concerned, we're rolling through and hoping to have a great summer. It's going to be a different summer, but we're planning on having camps everywhere that they'll let us in at. So, and again, hopefully we're hoping this all blows over, but again, we're all kind of at the liberty of what universities do is for the requirements of people on campuses. So, and they're all different.
Yeah.
And just again, school districts as well. A lot of school districts are not letting kids start sports until July 1st. And so we're basically we're just figuring out ways to accommodate and be flexible, and we plan to have a full summer.
Good.
Hopefully it gets back to normal soon.
That's
Fingers crossed.
Yeah. But people
Stay
need to
home,
practice
people.
social distancing.
Yeah, stay home so we can have a summer.
Yes, absolutely. Question from, here we go. What's your favorite skill to teach, and some of your favorite places that you've traveled to?
My favorite skill to teach. I don't really know. That one stumped me, Austin. My favorite place to travel and why, I just recently went to Kauai, in the Hawaiian island of Kauai, and it is the most beautiful place I've ever been. That's my new favorite place to go.
Really? A lot of places.
Yeah.
Wow.
I've been a lot of places. It was beautiful. I see some of my Costa Rican friends on there. I love Costa Rica too. I go there a lot. I love Costa Rica. Those are two of my hot spots of travel.
Okay. What is the hardest tumbling pass you competed?
The hardest tumbling pass I ever competed was probably a kick double.
Okay.
Probably.
Spring floor, dead floor?
Dead floor.
Ooh, old school when that was legal.
Old school.
Yep.
2005.
Wow.
Yeah, a long time ago. Hard to believe, 15 years ago.
Okay, here we go. if you can answer this, I'm sure it changes. From UCA Alex, what is a normal day like for Josh McCurdy from sun up to sundown?
Well, now it is very different than it was before.
Yeah.
Now my day is basically I try to do a lot of planning. So in the morning I'll get up and I make a schedule for my whole entire day. If I don't make a schedule for my day, with there being so much to not do, I just find myself bored and eating. So I kind of make a schedule. Oh yeah, I will be 15 pounds heavier after this quarantine. Yeah. But I try to make a schedule and just get my whole day planned, because then it seems to go by a lot quicker. And then I know I have certain tasks that I have to get done for the day. I do put a little time in to read each day and a little bit of time I say work out. I don't work out. I need to. I usually probably take a nap during my workout allotment for the day. But so right now it's a lot of work still, because things are still, fortunately with VROC, our teams are still requesting camps, and we're still signing up choreography, and we still believe there's going to be a full summer. So that's kind of full day. Then by the time 5 or 6 o'clock hits, dinner, a little more TV, a little news, and then bed. So the one thing nice about quarantine is that for the first time in a very long time, I'm kind of on a pretty good schedule of when I go to bed, when I get up. And so that part of my life is new, but I'm enjoying it.
I see a question down there from UCA Kate, and I believe that's Caitlin Sexton, I believe. And congrats on your engagement. I saw that, Kate, so congrats. Yes, you did not use the question box, Kate, but that's okay. We'll ask it. So what is your favorite performance memory?
My favorite performance memories is for sure the Olympics. We went to the Olympics in 2012 with UCA and varsity and performed, and it was awesome. So that was my favorite performance memory.
That's awesome. I mean, anything Olympics, I feel is.
It was amazing. Olympics were the coolest thing I've done for the company. Awesome.
Okay. I mean, just a random question to get to know you. What's your favorite movie?
Oh, Parasite is my favorite movie at the moment.
I haven't seen it. I heard it's phenomenal. I heard it's unbelievable.
It is, and I'm not one for like reading subtitles. I would never pick a movie. It'll pull you in, and then you will read every single subtitle. It is fantastic. Highly recommended. Everybody should watch it today.
I heard it's unbelievable.
It's awesome. It's a great movie.
I've heard that. See if there's any more questions. Here we go. Does VROC have a master's camp in the Northeast?
We do not have a master's camp in the Northeast right now.
Okay. So sorry. See if we can find a couple more questions before we close things up. Oh, here we go. What is one place you haven't traveled to that's on your bucket list?
Australia.
Okay. Why Australia?
I don't know. I've just never been there.
Yeah.
It looks neat. I don't know why. I just want to go to Australia to say I've been there, I guess.
Have you been to all 50 states yet? Have you done it?
I've not been to Alaska,
Okay.
Vermont, or New Hampshire.
So just three.
Been to 47.
You got 3 more.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
All right. Let's see here. I love these. These are they're just random questions. What's your favorite NFL team?
Hello, you say Alex, duh, the Tennessee Titans. Tighten up.
Now, is that because you've lived in Tennessee for so long, or was that even before when you moved away from Idaho?
Only because I live in Tennessee.
Okay. Yep.
And only because a great friend's brother plays for them. So.
Oh, okay. Cool. Very cool. And let's see here. All right. Yep. We did that one. All right. And last question. What's your favorite tumbling pass of all time?
My favorite tumbling pass? Like my own favorite or just someone's favorite?
Both. Why not? Like you saw that pass from somebody, like, dang. And then what did you love? You could even be power tumbling when you were a power tumbler. So
I used to love doing my kick full. that was like my little signature. So I used to love doing that.
Mm-hmm.
And I used to love to watch Tim Johnson from UCF. He used to do this front tumbling. And it was always very, very impressive.
Mm-hmm.
So that was always like my favorite to watch.
Man, front tumbling, especially on a dead floor, is no joke.
I hated front tumbling.
When people are like, I got to punch front through, I'm like, but do you really have a punch front through? So last question that I like to ask everybody before we wrap things up. What is the best piece of advice or a piece of advice that pops in your head right away that's had the biggest influence on you as a coach or a leader going forward?
There's a Morehead quote that we used to always put on shirts, and we always just talked about it. But it was like, well, I honestly kind of forget how. All about that good is not enough.
Mm-hmm.
Like you have to do your best, like until it's perfect.
Mm-hmm.
Like good is not an acceptable thing. So to me, it's just always that in the cheer world, and when you're like, I'm thinking the competitive world, and what I tell kids a lot, and when I talk about it, is it's like a hit is not just a hit. You can't just be like, oh gosh, we hit. Hey, everything stayed in the air. That's not good enough.
Mm-hmm.
You have to execute perfectly. If you expect to win anything, or to be even in the contention for winning, you have to hit perfect. And so, good is okay, but it's you can never strive for good and never accept good.
Mm-hmm.
So,
I guess one thing I can ask you before I let you go is. Because you obviously have a very keen eye, you're very into obviously the choreography and the judging. And I can already see we have a lot of coaches and people watching. One big piece of advice you can give to coaches when they're putting together their routines for this upcoming.
A lot of it is, and as you know, Steve, with me, I'm very symmetrical, and I'm very getting people to the closest places possible. Just because from a judging perspective, when you sit back and watch, the routines you like to watch are the ones that flow very easily right to another, rather than when kids are being forced to move across the floor to get to certain spots.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously, that's a dream world. But always, no one ever pays attention to the transitions and how your kids look when they transition from skill to skill.
Mm-hmm.
Because that's what makes your routine, that gives you a sense of a style, so to speak. Like, how clean can you be when you're getting to your spots? Because teams are going to all do the same skills.
Yeah.
Not the same skills, but you're going to see an elite that's got 2 stunts,
Mm-hmm.
a pyramid sequence. But how do you get to and from those different things?
Mm-hmm.
To me, is what's most missed by coaches.
Yeah.
And a lot of it is, again, that's where choreography comes in a lot. Because a lot of places we will go do choreography, and the skills you want to do.
Mm-hmm.
Like, we've been working on these skills, but it's, of course, that's important. But how you get to and from all those skills, to me, is just a huge thing that a lot of times coaches miss the boat, and it just makes your whole routine look differently.
Yep.
So focus on the little things, because the little things make the difference in first and second. So
100% agree. I think that I think a caption that's usually kind of overlooked a little bit is the overall impression caption, because that alone is, whether or not it's quote unquote only 5 points. That's still 5 points. I mean, that's a deal.
they're still ranking you.
Yeah, exactly.
There's another category you're being ranked in, because we're ranking every team in every single category. So every point.
Well, I can't thank you enough, Josh. I know usually you're an extremely busy guy, but I was able to get you here for an hour while we're doing the self-quarantine thing. But again, thank you, my friend, for joining.
Absolutely.
I hope everything gets to normal soon for all of us. And I know our paths will cross here in the near future again.
Sir.
Man, just stay safe. Thank you again, Josh, for joining me today. And I'm sure we will chat soon.
All right. Thanks.
Thanks, Josh. That was Josh McCurdy with VRoc. Great insight for those of you watching. And again, I am very thankful to know Josh so well for him to join me today and to finish out our Monday. And again, just very knowledgeable, very, very, very knowledgeable about, not just cheerleading, but what is important, what are people looking for, what is kind of the trends right now, what are judges looking at, what are choreographers looking at. Again, just very, very knowledgeable in regards to kind of what we're looking for from routines. So again, thank you to Josh McCurdy, and thank you for joining us today. And tomorrow we're gonna keep this thing going. We have interviews lined up all week. And tomorrow we have Bruce Bills, head cheer coach at Texas Tech University. I've said this before. If you have not seen Texas Tech's 2019 large co-ed team, holy cow. Go on YouTube, find that routine. Phenomenal. Unbelievable routine, and you'll see what I'm talking about. But Texas Tech coach Bruce Bills will be joining me tomorrow at same time, 1 o'clock Eastern. And to everybody saying thank you, you're welcome. I hope you all are enjoying the interviews I'm doing. Please give us a follow on YouTube and on SoundCloud. Full Out Chats. Full Out Chats on YouTube and SoundCloud. I'll be uploading this if people did miss the live feed, and also if you will just want to listen to it. It'll be up on SoundCloud and iTunes soon as a podcast. So again, please follow us on YouTube and on SoundCloud. I'd really appreciate it. And again, we have another interview lined up tomorrow. Bruce Bills from Texas Tech University. And also, once again, a special thank you to cheeranddancemusic.com for creating our intro music and sound effects that I use during the day. And again, one final thank you once again to Josh McCurdy joining me here live to talk about his life and how he got into cheerleading and kind of giving some really good inside info in regards to choreography and competition. So again, thank you all very much. Stay healthy and stay safe.